willing to bet not too many of you can claim, as I can, to have a scar on the back of the hand, right about there, where the bone popped out when a future Attorney General of the state of Ohio hit me in the head in homeroom in 10th grade. You had those like quasi, you had not assigned seats, but everyone sat in the same seat every day. And one day I walked into Miss McGuire's homeroom at Shaker Heights High School. Mark had put his equipment bag on my desk. So I flung it off the desk, and Mark hit me straight down with his fist, right on my skull, and I got a hard head. Mark's bone popped right out of his head. I started laughing so hard. Miss McGuire gave me detention for laughing at the fact that Mark punched me in the head and his bone popped out of his hand. Didn't mind. It was awesome. I was probably in detention with Kim Whitley, so that would make it awesome too.
You're watching Live on 5.
He's been a member of Ohio State Senate since 2003, and Democrat Marc Dann says he should be Ohio's next Attorney General.
In tonight's Vote 2006, Dan explains why he took the lead in exposing the state's recent CoinGate investment scandal. Dan is one of 20 state and federal officials who have accepted News Channel 5's free 5 minutes of airtime. We hope what the candidates have to say will help you be better informed come Election Day. Here's Jack Marshall.
There are two candidates running for Ohio Attorney General, the state's top law enforcement officer. One is Democrat Marc Dann, a Northeast Ohioan, Ohio State Senator, that is. He's joining us for tonight's Vote 2006. Welcome to the program, number one.
Thank you, Jack.
Mark, you grew up in Northeast Ohio, and people around Cleveland, I'm sure, know of you and have heard about you. What do you want the state folks around Ohio to know about you?
Well, I think we need an Attorney General in the next election that's going to be as tough on political corruption and on corporate greed as they are on street crime. And that's what I bring to the table. I'm going to bring an approach to government that will allow people to be proud of their government again. Not just because the corruption that's invaded Columbus is wrong,
right,
but because if we're overspending for every contract, whether it's legal contracts or computer contracts or pharmacy benefit contracts or workers' comp investment contracts like the rare coin investment, that if we're overspending for everything, we're losing the opportunity to make investments in our future, to lower tuition at our state universities, to shift the school funding burden away from local property taxes, to invest in the best law enforcement technology. I mean, that's the AG's office's responsibility.
Right.
Make sure we have good DNA and forensics, to make sure that we have the capabilities to keep track of people who have been convicted of sex crimes, so that when a daycare or a nursing home goes to look in the database, or a school, to make sure the teacher or the nurse or the football coach doesn't have a record.
Anybody.
Right. They'll be able to find that. Under Betty Montgomery, my opponent, 10,000 records are missing from that database, and we need to clean that up.
In your role, you were heavily involved in getting a lot of information out about the CoinGate, so to speak, scandal.
Right.
Are we looking for that aggressive nature, that aggressive attitude, if and when you're elected to Attorney General?
Yes, the founders of our state were smart. They separated executive power 5 ways. So the job of the auditor and the Attorney General has been to watch the governor and to watch the investments at workers' comp, to watch the investments everywhere,
right,
and the expenditures of state money. Unfortunately, what's happened is that Betty Montgomery, as Attorney General and now as auditor, has been more loyal to her political party, the Republican Party, more loyal to her campaign contributors than she's been to the people of the state. Ohio deserves an Attorney General that's going to assert his role aggressively. I don't care whether the next governor is a Democrat or Republican. I'm going to hold his office holders and his cabinet members accountable so that we can watch out for our tax dollars, because I believe that there's a $1 billion corruption tax that's holding us back as a state from making investments in improving our educational system and lowering tuition at our universities. And the Attorney General, and frankly every state office holder has a role, but as Chief Law Enforcement Officer, it's critical that the Attorney General set the standard to make sure that we have a government that's transparent and accountable.
Well, and I think what you're saying too, Senator, is that is going to give people trust in the candidates, something that we have in our families, something we have in our communities, but also in politics. It seems like so many people are now disenfranchised, if you will, whether they're Democrat or Republican. And we're talking about trust, aren't we?
Right. It's a matter of restoring people's confidence that government can do what we set out to do.
Right.
And in fact, unfortunately, the people in this state have been right. I mean, we're not paying too much in taxes.
Right.
What's happening is that there's a whole industry that's developed around politics and lobbying, and to hire a lobbyist to have to get an executive contract, for example, to sell chairs to the local school construction project, is absurd. We ought to go for the lowest price from local vendors if we possibly can, and we ought to do it in a way that's transparent so that the competitors and the public can hold public officials accountable. That hasn't happened. As a result, we lose $50 million in investments in rare coins of injured worker and small businesses money, another $215 million into a hedge fund, money that's been slipping through our fingers every single day. People are ready for government that's accountable and transparent.
We have less than a minute to go. I'm just wondering, what is the one message you want voters to know about the candidacy of Marc Dann should you be elected Attorney General?
Well, over the past year, Betty Montgomery really had the opportunity to be the hero. As Attorney General, she could have prevented the corruption in state government. As auditor, she could have detected it. And she failed the people of the state of Ohio on both counts. Over the last year, as a junior member of the state Senate, through public records requests, through suing Governor Taft, I actually brought out the truth about the corruption in state government. So I've already done the job. Imagine what I could do as Attorney General.
Okay, well, very good. You sound very confident.
Thank you very much.
I wish you good luck. We have Ohio Attorney General candidate, Democrat, Marc Dann with us right now. Thank you for joining us, and good luck.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Thank you for watching Cleveland Live Music. Don't worry, this cop that's approaching is not going to interrupt great uploads. He hopefully supports the channel as much as you folks who hit the subscribe button do. There's Patreon and GoFundMe information that I doubt he's going to do. You can. But subscribe. Keep watching. That's all that counts.